Oh, the red and black. I love red and black so much. Those are my favorite colors. Okay. Anyways, everybody, game number 1 of the final top 8 elimination side qualifying match. This is gonna be it. This is gonna see who's going to punch in the last ticket, the last place, and let's see what happens. We got a Mollydex Ditto, Rikka immediately picking up the scythe, and Sarme on the gauntlets.
Yeah, and already you're seeing the mishmash of weapons here, and Rikka definitely playing very, very well into the gauntlets with the scythe. As I say that, they're throwing their weapon away in favor of the gauntlet pair. Very even damage, both at about 100 downlight into down air from Rikka, and Sarme kind of getting caught up in the corner, but fights out with an endlight, and very high octane already. They're both very much so willing to scrap and in the face of each other.
That's right. When you both have like dripped this good, and you both playing Mollydex, you can't be playing passive, right? You have to hold it. You have to do this justice. But Rikka, amazing use of that GC sidelight. GC sidelight is such a good edge guarding option. It's not too committal, right? You're just able to just shove anybody closer and closer to the blast zone, regardless of how much damage they have on them. Sarme able to find a sider, setting you at that nasty angle, and now the stocks and damage count is completely even.
Yeah, and I expect this to be a relatively even set, all things considered. I feel like both of these players, especially in the mirror, are playing very at each other's level, especially, you know, you're making your top 8 spot, but nice little extension there. As I say that, pulling ahead in the damage, but okay, nice little conversion here, going deep off with the side, but gets flipped with an air. Rikka able to capitalize, and that's a very big flip, and something you just cannot afford to do versus Gauntlets offstage.
This is Gauntlets offstage. This is also Scythe offstage. There's gonna be 2 Mollydexes competing to see who is the biggest Chad offstage. Okay? They're gonna be both trying to go for the super deep, crazy edge guards. They're both gonna be going through those clips, and let's see how it pans out. Cider, Rikka just shoving Sarme closer and closer to their demise at this point. 2-to-1 stocks, massive damage lead at this point. Sarme needs to stop the bleeding.
You say that a recovery comes out from Sarme to knock Rikka away, but Rikka definitely running away with this lead after that insane flip. Nice side air here. Tough spot to be in as Sarme. I mean, at this point, recoveries will start to KO off of an opener, so it's like, how do you really get back in this game? You're not, definitely not there. You land in the corner, you get side sig, and that goes game 1 to Rikka. Wow.
So, couple things. We can talk about advantage state. We can talk about neutral. We can also talk about edge guarding. The tragedy, or sometimes, you know, the best parts about playing Gauntlet and Scythe is that you can define a game by how well you play off stage. You can sometimes just evaporate stocks, right? As we got to see a couple of times. Especially because Scythe recovery by itself, not the most distance on it. Yeah, you have a lot of threat in the angle that you send off of your recovery, but it's not that much distance. So, in a Scythe Ditto off stage, yeah, Scythe wins. Also, Rikka's advantage state, I feel like Rikka was able to read much more of Sarme's dodge options, especially when Rikka had gauntlets on hand.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that, and we'll see kind of how this set evolves, because I feel like, you know, in a Mordex mirror, a lot of changes made, a lot of adaptations from both sides. You have to if you're playing Mordex. But so far, Rikka riding the momentum pretty perfectly here, as Sarme has been playing very patiently on the Scythe, but maybe you need to pick up your speed too, because Rikka will run you over that and like will disarm and send off stage. Sarme stuck in a bad spot, able to make it back with the unarmed recovery, but the side air comes in, and that's the stock for Rikka.
Yeah, nothing else Sarme could have done there. I do like the nice patient slow recovery, just dodging up to stall as long as possible. Sidelight, dashing out, sidelight again, just kicking you away. Oh no. Okay, you know what? In this matchup, I don't know if this would be incorrect to say. I feel like I would rather be Gauntlets off stage and I'm getting edge guarded rather than being edge guarded while I'm holding Scythe. I feel like Gauntlets have a bit of a better recovery chance than Scythe.
No, absolutely. I feel like, and also like the ability to reversal comfortably on gauntlets is really important. I think like Scythe, you get too in your head about wanting to flip it. You have to like set up some sort of a nair at a weird angle, but it puts you at a terrible spot if you whiff it. So it's like,
you whiff that neutral air, you don't want to whiff that neutral air.
Yeah, exactly. But on gauntlets, it's like, okay, I can just recover how I normally do, but with gauntlets, and hey, I hit a nair and I get a chase dodge, and oh, I'm able to get a KO. So it's definitely like a completely different state of mind. Sarme here, stuck in his own state of mind as he's unable to make it out of this deficit. Finally does find a dodge in with that sig, and we're down to
This is the Mollydex state of mind. This is the difficulty with playing Mollydex, right? Mollydex gets a lot of things. You can get a lot of really crazy reads, but the issue with Mollydex is his inconsistency in being able to KO with this weapon spread. Sandstorm is the only person I've ever been able to see. Wait, you know what? Enough of that. We got Rikka on the screen right now. Crazy string. Sarme, excuse me?
Wow. Oh!
What?
He hits the
No!
nair, but he doesn't hit the second one. That was almost absolutely insane for Rikka to stop the flip, but it's not enough there. Wow, that was crazy.
And Sarme still outplayed him in that awful situation. That was so big brain because Sarme did not give up. Sarme ate that. You noticed that Rikka couldn't make it back on, but that recovery sends you at such a nasty angle. You've used up your dodge. I'm surprised that Rikka didn't go off stage for the spike. Maybe didn't want to contest that scythe. Sarme able to make it back on for just a second, eating an end light. Gets pushed back off stage. Rikka looking for a jump, call out with the recovery. Doesn't find it quite yet. Sarme cannot reset neutral.
Another dash up end light, able to disarm, and I like this from Rikka, playing very stable, realizing, you know, the only way I can lose this is if I lose it for myself here. Down like into recovery, comes in, and that would have been crazy if Sarme made the comeback. On the back of one of the most insane scrambles underneath Demon Island I've ever seen, but Rikka takes another game.
Gauntlet D-Light is going to be the saving grace of a X Ditto. Nothing else that you have is actually going to be guaranteed. You have to just hit a raw side A with Gauntlets to KO. You have to hit like Sidelight recovery, which we all know is the classic Brawlhalla 50-50 in a way. And then Scythe doesn't have, you know, it's just a bunch of like one-off hits that could potentially KO. If you're getting those kinds of D-Lights, that is the most important KO option I think that you have to be wary of against either player. That being said, I love what we saw. That situational awareness from Sarme, the patience off stage was amazing. We're seeing the switch off to the Val now. How do you feel about the switch?
I have a Val main. My favorite players are Meg, V, and Rain, so it's like, of course, I'm going to love the Val pick. But, you know, Sarme is somebody that, on paper, has a very strong Val. Definitely like, you know, leaning into the sword here and something a little bit more consistent than the scythe. But something that you will definitely struggle with is the scythe matchup as gauntlets and swords. So we'll see how Rikka can really abuse this portion of the matchup. And so far looking very good and solid at doing so. Looking for the end light there, gets the side light instead, and looking pretty solid in that damage department, about 100 damage on Sarme.
But honestly, I have to say I heavily agree with the switch. Right? We saw the difficulty with KOing when it came to Sarme's scythe, and we saw how difficult it was for Sarme to come back onto the stage with scythe sometimes. So now, having sword, that is a weapon of consistency. But that being said, no amount of consistency is going to save you from getting sidelight and recovered up and into oblivion. Rikka is playing with momentum.
Yeah, it feels like Sarme hasn't really been able to stifle much. You're kind of just playing on the back foot the entire time, and it's looking tougher and tougher to make this comeback happen. Charging up that N-Sig there, as we saw, Rikka able to punish it accordingly, and really losing these scramble states versus the scythe, which is really, really tough. You gotta start getting something to connect. Sidelight into side sig, though, that will definitely find a stock.
That is Val's side sig. Sometimes you get hit by sidelight and you're at the corner of the stage and you think, there's no way that they could spike me. There's no way that they can get a side or anything through light. And then bam, Val side sig, baby. Bit of a cheating move, but I respect it nonetheless.
Gotta love
I've gotten hit by so many Val side sigs.
Gotta love that sig, especially on Demon Island. It covers the entire wall, so you have to be very careful. Because they're actually expending too many resources. I was unable to capitalize on the GC downlight. Sarme really taking over the game with his sword, though. This is exactly what we needed to see for this Val pick.
That's that consistency. Those are those consistent follow-ups. That's that zoning that Sword is able to do. Just say, get out of my space. Love that GCD light, though. Rikka committing to that ground pound. Sarme missing the cider. I think was it because that they hit like the closest hitbox of the Sword D-Light? And then just ended up leaning into the cider?
Yeah, I think it's easy. When you hit like the very deep hitbox, you have to go for recovery, or you can go for ground pound, but you just can't side air there. It's too difficult to line up.
Okay, Sarme, we're seeing a bit of a gauntlet ditto right now. Rikka able to get the first side light. No immediate punish, but Sarme also being nice and patient, not using up a dodge or anything. Rikka, again, you have to alternate between immediate defensive option, and you have to alternate between waiting and your defensive option. That's the real 50-50 when you're getting hit by gauntlet side light.
Yeah, and it's tough because you guess wrong, you lose your stock bet side sig. Not quite what you needed to see there from Sarme, but we'll see how this one is able to. We'll see if we're able to make a comeback as Rikka here. Big flip here.
No lead is safe against Mordex. There is no such thing as a safe lead against Mordex. He can make your stocks evaporate off stage. Sarme, can you clutch this, or is Rikka gonna find himself in the top 8? You get sent off stage, sweating. Love that weapon toss, and that's gonna be it. That's the consistent KO ability of Sword that Sarme desperately needed. And so even though you talked about like maybe not the best matchup for Sword, I think it gave Sarme the consistency. Scythe is a kind of a weapon where if by game 2, you're not getting those crazy edge guards or KOs, you need to switch off of it.
No, I definitely agree. We saw the Scythe was just really scrambling to get any sort of footing, and now we're seeing, you know, a swap off from Sarme, and it's working out a lot better. We're going right back to Demon Island, and I'm interested to see how the adaptation is going to come in for Rikka here. If we're going to be saying the same Mordex.
Rikka opt to stay on Demon Island. Like, I feel like Val's side sig with Soiled is such a relevant detail. I don't know what the reasoning would be here.
I know a lot of people just like comfortably like Demon Island, but I really don't think it's good versus Val and versus Legends with Sigs that are able to cover the whole the entirety of the wall, which is quite a few in the current meta. So it's like maybe I don't like this pick, but maybe Rikka just wants to go back to where it's familiar. Just the salty run back sometimes. We'll see how this one plays out though.
That's right. I lost on this stage. It does not matter, and I'm going to prove you different. Or we could have also just attributed a completely falsified headcanon, but that's going to be a quick little ground pound. Rikka not able to touch in time. And that is the scariest part about Val's side sig. When you're off stage, unless you absolutely position yourself preemptively and read them so hard that you can punish it, you need to respect it. Rikka tried to punish it. And I think that is not something that you can always do against Val.
What's interesting about Sigs that move you like that is like a lot of times you try to punish it, but you don't realize that they still have all their resources after using the side Sig. It doesn't burn a jump, it doesn't burn a dodge, so they're able to really reversal you for making mistakes. Sarme in the bad spot though, and there's always time to dance in elimination side qualifiers. You get the breakdance there, and you get the weird hitbox that sends into the stage.
Yep, that is, you know, just when you think they stop breakdancing, it still goes on a couple of frames longer than you think it does. I have been deceived by many GC, you know, breakdances before as well, so I get it. This happens at any level of play. Everybody thinks it's gonna be gone. Okay. Scary situation for a second.
Picks up the Scythe now. Sarme stuck on the gauntlets here. We haven't seen as much success from the gauntlets, but it's very important for building the damage for the Val sword.
Sarme backing off a little bit. I cannot believe that sidelight whipped. I think it's because Sarme dashed with the sidelight. That happens sometimes with moves that give you a lot of momentum in this game. They're dash jumping over each other. Please somebody sidelight. Please somebody side I'm begging you.
Yeah, they gotta just throw out their big hitbox and kind of scrap, because they're stacking on top of each other like crazy right now. And I feel like on paper, stacking should be much better for the gauntlets here. And I think Rikka noticing that as well, because you get the double sidelight, you get the recovery, and all of a sudden Rikka seizes the lead once again.
So this kind of movement with dash jumping and dash landing in place over and over again, it can be good as an occasional mix-up, but lingering on it, honestly, because of the fact that you're just purely pressing buttons and you're getting stuck in a dash a couple of times, I don't actually think it's always the best to do. That being said, D-Light recovery off the top, able to go ahead and take out that stock. Yeah, again, love this switch to the sword for Sarme. It is giving him so much needed consistency.
Yeah, Sarme is definitely one of the best sword players in EU, so it's cool to see him find a lot of success, even on this, you know, back against the wall counter pick. Rikka, though, getting a big nair there, having Sarme's back to the wall, but able to make it back. This is a big flip, though. Oh, goes for side stick instead of end light. Tough. There was Sweatbead. If we just send him off stage, he dies or gets KO'd there, but unfortunate decision.
Sarme not able to drift back enough with the side A because it lurches you forward ever so slightly. The N-Sig is able to successfully come out. Sarme moving around, using the recovery just to stall and mix up your landing options. Stuck off stage once again. Oh no!
Oh, that's a big side air, and Sarme having to burn the dodge. Rikka missing the down light, but Sarme's unable to make it back, and with that unfortunate mishap off stage, Rikka is able to move forward with a 3-1 victory over Sarme into top 8 through the elimination side. Oh my goodness, that was insane.
Demon Island giveth and Demon Island taketh away for Sarme. We saw that side sig in game 1, you were like, oh, this is great, this can cover the whole stage. Rikka took Sarme right back onto Demon Island.